Well, yeah, that's the thing. There's one thing that I would take, like, if there's any advice I could give anyone is one, not be attached to the art that you make, whatever it is, a podcast, video, you know, art, paintings, whatever, because to you it's never going to be perfect. Yeah. You're always going to sit there and be like, there's this thing that I can change, or that thing I can change. And I know artists, the one reason that a lot of Edmonton artists don't actually blow up or actually get anything is because they don't have enough content for people to get hyped about. They get that one song after 6 or 7 months, and people they go crazy for it. You know, they get, you know, like you said, 600-700 views or like 1,000 views, likes, whatever, and then they're hyped. But those people that just listen to your track and you promoted it so much and you marketed it so much, when they go on your channel or they go on your SoundCloud and they see you only have that track, they're not inclined to follow the page.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, he just has one song, whatever.
They're not really confident.
They can't go back. Exactly. They can't go through your catalog. Whereas when you look at these big artists, J. Cole, Drake, Kendrick, any of these up-and-coming rappers or artists, you can go on their page and they'll have 100 songs, 30 songs. They have videos, they have this, they have that. And so it almost gives you credibility in your field. It's like, oh, this isn't just like a one-time thing.
Right.
They have something that they can go back to and actually connect to. Because they might like your song, and then they click on your page just to be curious to see who you are. But then they go to your next track and they love it.
Right, okay.
And they're like, oh my God, this is so good. Then they go back 2 years and they see another song and they love that. And then all of a sudden now they're emotionally connected to your art because you have a track record.
Exactly. So that makes sense. And that's definitely something I wish we kind of did when we launched this podcast. I've looked at a lot of online articles that were suggesting, you know, launch with like 4 or 5 episodes. So people can, like, when they look at your stuff, they have other things to listen through and go through. And unfortunately, I don't know if that hurt us too much. I mean, it's really tough to say. But definitely not doing a couple things. Like, for instance, one, and it's still, I stay awake at night sometimes thinking about this. It kills me. When you launch a podcast and you get on iTunes, essentially what happens is you have an 8-week grace period. And if you get enough good rates and reviews, you get on the new and noteworthy on the front page of podcasts. Oh, nice. And it's very easy to get. You only need like 10 5-star reviews or something like that. Like it's nothing. They don't check it to make sure it's legit. You can just get friends to do it. And we unfortunately missed that window.
Oh.
And apparently that's like one of the number one things you want to do to help launch your podcast when you're starting out. So unfortunately we missed that. But even now it's nice to see when someone comes through and listens to one of our episodes, they can see, we got like 12 other episodes that they can kind of dive in and see, oh, I really like this one. Oh, these guys are talking to a guy who's in fitness and personal training. I really like that. Like, this is a really good episode. It pertains to me and my interests.
Yeah.
Because not every episode that we talk about, it's not always going to be relevant to the listener, which makes sense.
Because that's like the first thing you do when you discover a new anything, right? New artist, new musician, new podcast, whatever. You go to their channel, you go to their page, and you dig through all of their stuff, or at least that's what I do, right? If I discover an artist, I'm going to go to their YouTube channel, sort by most viewed, move through like the first few videos on there, and if all they got is one, it's gone.
Exactly.
I don't remember.
That's true. It seems to me that the YouTube subscribers is one of the hardest things to get. Yes. I don't know. It's almost like when someone subscribes to you on YouTube, they're like invested in you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny how you walked us through the mind of a YouTube subscriber and what they see and think and feel when they go through your page. It's really interesting, and it's something that I think I'll try and think about, putting forth content and adjusting our YouTube page and trying to reach out to people to come listen to us, which is, it's definitely a process, and it takes a while to gain traction. I mean, the hardest thing I think is to reach outside that bubble of your Facebook friends.
Yes.
That's like the hardest thing, to break that and break out into people who don't know you at all. They just know you as your project. And that's kind of what we're going to try and focus on this summer is, like I said, making a brand and expanding it. But I think that's the biggest thing that's an obstacle, I guess I would say.
It's the exposure.
It is. It's really tough to get the exposure. And actually, another thing that killed me, what happened was, this actually kind of relates to what you and Tolu were just talking about. We had our first interview for the podcast was Zach Palick, and he is a personal trainer for powerlifting and sports performance.
Okay.
So I was really excited because it was something completely new that we don't really talk about. So it's nice to dive into something else. Obviously, first interview, super excited. We do the interview, goes super well. Like, man, that was so good. Like, I'm so excited. I was hyping it up. I'm like, this is going to be a really good episode. We had, I think our first one was already cracked 100 downloads. The first and second one was at like 73. The other one was at 50 something. So like, this is going to be big. This is like going to launch us. And the site, podcast.com, that we were hosted on, they transferred servers and it screwed up and we weren't able to upload any episodes.
Oh.
So we missed our window.
Kills the momentum, right?
Wow.
It killed it. And it was messed up for a good while. I was emailing them, like, trying to figure it out. And it really sucked. We got the YouTube video up. That got, I think it was at like 57 views. So that's only time really the YouTube came in big.
Yeah.
Is that people could refer to that if we have troubles on other ends. But we had that problem, and then I had to switch us to a different service, which was Podbean, which we're on now. Oh. And unfortunately, we went from a free service to a paid, but I'm still happy that we're on this now because we have a whole bunch of analytics that we can see.
Nice.
Basically, what platforms people are downloading from, the geolocation. So we have mostly, I think it was like 227 from Canada, over 100 from the US.
Oh, nice.
We got, I think 10 or 11 from the UK, 6 in China and Serbia.
Just some crazy out there countries.
Malaysia, Ireland, Costa Rica, Spain.
Wow.
Australia now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so, and those are just also our download count from our previous site was lost because we had to make a new feed. So those aren't incorporated in our current download count, and I'm not able to see where those downloads came from, unfortunately. Yeah. But that was the big thing. Going back to what happened with that interview episode, it released late, and it didn't do so well. It didn't blow up like I thought it would. It was only like 20 views or downloads or listens in the first week. Granted, the YouTube video did really well, but it was just nice to see like hard downloads, like,
of course, yeah,
on the count. And right now, it's for downloads. I think it's at like in the 40s. It's 42. It's our highest one since we've moved to Podbean, but it was definitely sucked. I was super hype on this, like, blowing us up, and we lost our momentum, and ever since then we've kind of been just struggling to get that momentum back, and it's been coming back, like, for sure, but
yeah,
it's definitely, I feel like it could have been better.
Yeah, you always feel that way with some stuff you're like, this is gonna bang, this is gonna bring us to some other level, and then it ends up being like one of your worst projects ever.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So to flip over back to your kind of YouTube channel, because you've done stuff other than music.
Yeah.
I've seen you start to do some skits.
That's right.
And some other videos. How did you... So I guess this is you kind of veering back and diving into kind of the acting a little bit again.
Yeah.
And so how did you decide to do skits, and how'd that come about?
It actually didn't even come through for the acting. It was more coming back to what you said, exposure.
Okay.
So it's like, I wanted the music to be the main thing because it was something I could control myself.
Yeah.
How much I could do. Like, if the harder I work, the more content I put out is all on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on somebody else's schedule. I don't have to wait next week to film something. I don't have to wait for this person or that person. So I was like, okay, well, I look at the artists in Edmonton, and I look at, okay, we're all, the people that I know, we're all kind of on the same level, rap skill wise.
Right.
What am I doing differently? Why aren't they blowing up? Or why aren't they have great skill? These people put out, there's artists that you don't know that are, you're like, holy, like, you should be signed.
Right.
Why aren't you? What are you doing wrong that a mainstream artist or another independent artist is doing right?
Mm-hmm.
So really dove into that, and it was all exposure. It's all exposure. You might be the greatest poet, the greatest artist, the greatest doctor. You could be the greatest at anything, but if nobody hears or sees it, you're nothing. So it's like, okay, well, how do I get exposure? And at the time, well, even now, a lot of short skits, vines were popping at the time.
Okay.
Short, you guys probably know who King Batch is.
Do you guys know that? I don't know.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
a big social media guy. I have to
okay.
be now trying to promote this stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of new to this world.
He's the grandpa of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it on the YouTube
It's still
yet?
called the YouTube.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I was looking at all these other people that were doing big things, getting numbers. Because I look at numbers. How are these guys getting these big numbers? And I realized it was just these short, stupid skits
That are relatable.
that are relatable. It's like awkward handshakes or awkward social interactions.
Don't get me started, man.
Yeah, and I'm like, and a simple video will get 500,000 views, a ton of shares, and I'm like, but my music, I spent 3 months on this video.
Right? Yeah.
What? Like, why? So I was like, okay, I need to get back into this. And I liked acting. I like skits. All right, I can do this. This is easy. Like, if this is what's popping and it's so simple, I got to do it. And I don't care if people relate to me as a rapper or they relate to me as an actor. Because I look at a guy like Childish Gambino.
I was just about to bring that up. That's what you're reminding me of, right?
Exactly. The dude does everything.
Yeah.
He writes, he acts, he goes on tour, he sells merch. The guy writes for TV shows. Like, he does everything. So half of the people relate to his music, but the other half relate to his writing, the other half relate to his acting. You might not like his acting.
Yeah, plus
But-
he has a stand-up special too, so it's like...
There you go. The dude does everything.
Do you know
see
how
him?
hard you have to work to get a Netflix stand-up special?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like-
part time.
It just doesn't make any
The
sense.
dude
to
probably
me.
doesn't sleep, which is my thing. And I've talked to a lot of artists here that I wanted to collaborate with, and people that are doing kind of the same things. And I'm like, yo, let's do skits together. Let's do this. Nah, bro, I don't want to be portrayed that way, because there's rappers that want to hold this persona of being that gangster rapper or that this. I don't want to be in the comedy skits because I don't want to be portrayed as a comedian, even though they have the funniest personality and they
Yeah,
would be amazing at skits. They don't want to do it.
That's interesting.
It's a different time, and I know you're not gonna be able to see me because this camera's out, so we're using
You're like young Jamie right now.
one.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So no, it's a different time where you definitely have to whore yourself out. There's so many things I used to rip on people for doing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're such a social whore. Just stop it. And now I'm out there doing that. Just kissing rat asses. Just trying to. Like, one of it was the whole, with refreshing your feed, deleting, things that maybe weren't that hype to, like, keep the consistency for people coming to check out your stuff. I used to rip on people for that. I mean, you're so unoriginal.
Yeah.
Keep all that stuff, blah blah. But it's like, if you have a brand you're trying to sell, you need to go into it with that mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
And then with with the I want to be strictly music or strictly this or strictly that. There's so many King. Actually, no, I don't know if King Bash that much music, but there are a lot of guys who do skits, but they're bumping their music in the skits.
Yeah.
Or it's like, producers in the studio, like,
Yeah.
but that's
exactly.
just a chance for them to plug their own thing,
That's exactly
a
it.
million views, and
It's
it's,
a
like,
strategy.
download link here. It's like, wait, I thought this was a skit then. How come we got our MP3 download link just
Yeah.
ready to go on the side? So it's a different time. I do understand people who have that mindset, but take this from me. You kind of have to. You have to be flexible.
Oh yeah, you have to look at like you want to get the most exposure as possible.
Mhm.
What's working right now,
Mhm.
and what can you do? Right, like I can do the skits, no doubt in my mind.
Mhm.
And when I started doing the skits, I actually for a good like month I didn't want to do the skits, and I knew in the back of my head I have to do it.
Mhm.
I was like, yo, like your music, you could be the greatest rapper in Edmonton.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter because music is looked at differently.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of resistance for a new up and coming artist.
Definitely.
You know,
Definitely.
he might be like, you go on his page, you're like, like you're already going in with a negative feel for an artist.
There's definitely
Because they're
the
not
issue
signed or
of like fans or would be fans have such a short I could call it attention span, but also loyalty,
Yes.
where it's like, oh, Omid blows up, and it's like, man, I've been listening to his stuff since day one, blah blah.
Yeah.
It's like, but 1,000 of you are saying that, but I only got 500 views, so
Yeah,
like, what's
exactly.
up? And once you blow up, everyone's like, yeah, I'm on this. Like with mumble rap, with the whole Lil Yachty stuff,
Yeah.
it's like, man, trash. I was like listening to real OGs, this and this and that. 6 months later, everyone's like, yeah, all my friends are dead.
Yeah,
and everyone's
yeah.
just on, and it's like you have to. It kind of goes against the old school way of thinking of, like, stick to your thing no matter what happens, to your left and to your right. Don't even look this and that, to adapt.
Yeah.
And Gary V, who like, you can some people like him.
I know
like
Gary
him,
V.
some people
I
don't.
found Gary V through his page.
Yeah.
That's-
Oh, really?
You introduced me to him. Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
and
nice.
and he's one of the first guys that said something that I found interesting, which was the case of, when we were growing up, people were like, man, stay in school, don't go on your computer or TV after school. That is not the way it's done. It'll suck up your brain. Don't play video games. This is the way it's done. I don't care. It's like, but Charlie is doing. No, I don't care. This isn't that. But now these are the kids making money off of Twitch,
Yeah.
just sitting there doing their art. There's a kids who did not go to any media school of any kind, but are teaching you, their parents, how to work an iPhone.
Yeah.
Because you're out there like, nope, I don't care. Nope, just home phones, right? And it's like you have to go over the times, especially now that technology and the internet is a thing.
Exactly.
Everything is changing so rapidly. You're not in control, but you can go with the flow.
Exactly. If you're not riding that wave,
Mhm.
you're literally hindering yourself.
Yeah.
It's sticking to something that isn't working.
Mhm.
Right? Like you're making your music, but you're just focused on that. You're not focused on the marketing, or you're not good at marketing. Fuck that. You learn how to market yourself. Learn, because if you're telling me you're going to be the artist and you're going to have a career in music, how many artists are in Calgary, Medicine Hat, Toronto? How many want to actually make it? How can you say that if you're putting one song every 6 months or 3 months?
And that's the one side with. And I talk again. I feel like I could keep talking for hours about this now that you've unleashed this can of worms.
Oh, it's fine. We
but
have no
but
cap.
so, and again, this past month, which is actually this month, May, sorry. So all of this month of school ended in April. So all day this month has just been spent at my place or Simba's place, full studio setup, just grinding, right? And we talk about, man, what goes through a guy like Kanye's head, who He had free education because his mom was working at the school. He was doing, these or whatever. And he's like, nah, screw it. I want to drop all of that and do this. And then he failed. Came back home, Mom, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. But still went ahead and went full and dropped everything. Right? What goes through a guy like 2 Chainz mind, who had a full scholarship, he had ball, blah, blah. But it's like, nah, I'm gonna make more money rapping about hoes and weed and stuff than I ever made being a Harvard grad.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he does. But for all those guys, there's 10 on the side.
Exactly.
And for producers, especially, Atlanta, like spots in the States, and if you're in Canada, then Toronto and Vancouver is kind of like, if you're trying to break through, you want to be there. And I definitely think if you get a chance, you're at a point in your life where you can make that move, you should.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you're not there yet, there's no excuse, because again, there are many people there, and how many of them do you see blowing up? It's the skills and the things you'll learn here that will help you there.
Yeah.
They're going out there like, all my friends are producers. I'm going to make A or B here and future here and do this here and do that there. Everyone around me is this. They're not going anywhere. You're coming from a place where a country beat might get more views than your hard work trap beat that that all your friends will vibe with. Yeah. And the mentality you'll get from being a loner, being in the desert by yourself, will kind of help you when you go into the saturated market.
Definitely, man.
Is what I think anyway.
Work. All we gotta do is work. Freshman. Omid.